All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, a protest is defined as showing an objection or disapproval to a certain topic. This is for definition, please, in clear terms, for the people that are listening. The term protest is generally understood as the gathering of a group of people or an individual to speak up against a perceived injustice. Most protests are peaceful ones, but they can sometimes become violent. Now, on the 4th of October 2020, a video went viral showing SARS operatives dragging two men from a hotel and shooting one of them outside. A few days later, protests erupt across Nigeria, and on the 11th of October 2020, SARS was disbanded. But it was the fifth time since 2015 that the Nigerian authorities pledged to reform the police and disband SARS. So on the 9th of the 20th of October 2020, Nigerian armed forces shot at unarmed protesters at Lekki Tollgate in Lagos, Nigeria, as reported by Amnesty International. Shortly before the shooting, CCTV cameras were allegedly removed from the tollgate and the lights turned off. Now, a panel was set up and investigations are still ongoing. So while we await the outcome of those investigations that are ongoing, our question tonight is, how effective are protests, and does protest truly make any difference? Now, please let us share what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Now, it's interesting, before, if you had asked me this question before 2020, I would say no, protest does not make any difference. Because I've been in situations where people protested and at the end of the day, some people compromised and nothing changed. Yeah. But the rate at which the Nigerian government and the entire police force, the authorities rather than just put them together, the Nigerian government, they are struggling so hard, almost like to gag every single person that wants to speak up against or criticize certain things that are wrong. It tells me to take a deep pause and look at this subject of protest again. I think maybe it does have some form of effect, because if not, why are you afraid of people just having a simple walk to say, you know what, we're tired of this and that, So for me, I think if you had asked me this question before, I would say no rather. But now I would say I think it's effective. I mean, from the Twitter ban, that one is still brewing. It's not yet resolved, because Twitter was one of the biggest platforms that helped to galvanize a lot of conversations around even the NSAS protest as well. So from the Twitter ban, all of a sudden, from last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? That was when the police trucks started parking at the Lekki Tollgate. So why are you so apprehensive about people saying that they are tired of certain things and just, protesting? What exactly is this? What does this protest do to them? How effective is it?
It's a deep conversation that we're going to have today, because protests actually are civic engagements. So it's an avenue where people are able to express their feelings or disapproval about certain things that maybe government might be doing that is not for the benefit of the people. So if that right is taken away, then it can be troubling. It can cause conflict, right? But our topic of discussion is, how effective is it? I believe that it is effective. However, it might take time. So and if there's consistency, if people don't give up, then they might actually begin to see the change that they desire whenever they come out to say enough is enough about a certain issue or the other. It's important that people know that they have a voice and that no one can take away that voice from them. However, probably with the times and the seasons, there might be an evolution, let me put it that way. You might have to evolve the way you protest, but it is not a case of that I do not have a voice. So I believe it's effective. It just depends on how you go about it. It's how systematic and strategic you are in your engagement, especially when you have people who believe in a particular cause and they know that it's for the benefit of people or humanity, basically, it can be effective. It depends on where exactly it also happens sometimes. Because some places, I mean, we're in a democratic government, seemingly. I said seemingly. It's supposed to be a democracy, right? So when people are expressing their democratic rights, then they have a right to be heard. However, the government that is serving the people at the time, it's dependent, how they react to these protests or how they choose to protect the people that they have pledged to serve, even as they express themselves and their right, is also something of consideration, basically. I think that's my view on it. But everybody has a right to speak. Everyone has a right to express how they feel about the people that are seemingly supposed to take care of them or to govern them. And if they're not satisfied, then they should be able to express that as well. And it can be an effective way. It just depends on the people. Are they together? Is there unity? And are they focusing on a singular cause? And can they see through? What are the strategies that they're using for engagement to let their voice heard?
Okay. Elsie, let me come to you.
Elsie is quiet.
So I think, or I believe protests work, right? Even before October 2020, it is one of, like you said, a civic engagement tool to bridge that communication gap, especially when it feels like we're not being heard between the leaders and her people, right? So it works, and I would want to point out that the people we have ruling us today used the tool of protest when it was necessary for them. We can't forget, was it Occupy or Jota?
Yeah.
Occupy Nigeria.
Okay, it was not Jota, right? So that's why I said Occupy Jota. So Occupy Nigeria, and what happened? And like you rightly said, we've always had protests, we've always had strikes too. But for some reason, we end up at a point where we feel like somebody has compromised. One of the big wigs in APC today, Adams Oshomole, rose to where he is now. From
a lot of strikes.
A lot of strikes, and protests and all that. We can mention names, and which is why it is very worrying when these same people cannot understand the agitation behind
the people
coming out to the streets and saying we need to protest or we are protesting. And it makes me begin to question what their agenda was when they were doing their own protests at the time. Because if you are doing that from a pure point of view, if you're doing that because you knew that that was a political tool that should help you engage with the government for a positive outcome, then at this point in time, you should also be able to see that these people are doing this because they want to be heard, because they are being oppressed, because they feel like this is the only way that you can listen to them. So first and foremost, I would say that everything I have seen from October last year till now just makes me question all the protests that these same people were part of in the past, and was somewhat productive for them.
But we all knew Oshomole's strategy now. He comes out, he makes noise, he strikes. Obasanjo calls him into the he comes out and says the strike is called off. I mean, this is what has always been. So that's why I had never believed in anything protest, because I always believed that, so for some reason there will be some...
to Occupy Nigeria, we moved from a certain price figure back to a certain price figure. So there was negotiation and I was
not part of Occupy Nigeria at all, because I still did not believe in protest. You won't find me protesting, right? You won't find me there. But I don't believe that we should stick to an event, because now is protest supposed to be an event, or is supposed to be something that is part of like a process, a journey that is not like a one-off thing that needs to happen for change to happen. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. So it is not like, oh, there was something that happened in November and we just leave it there. Protest for me should be a continuous, ongoing yes, process. It should be a continuum. It's a marathon. It
depends on what you now call protest, because consistently engaging the government is not protest. It is what is supposed to be engaging
dialogue,
the government. Dialogue. Yeah. It gets to protest when we've had it up to here and we think that the dialogue is not working, you're not listening, you're not feeling the pulse of the people. So what else is there to do? They will walk on the street for you to know that we are serious. So it is not, protest is not something that should happen every time. When you begin to make that happen every time, then you are, what's the word now? You water down. You water down the essence of the protest, and you might not be taken serious when it comes to things that should be taken serious. So no, I don't think that protest should be continuous. But like I was saying before, now I know it works, but when it comes to Nigeria, we have our peculiar issues. We have our dramas. What works in a straight line in other climes of the world goes like this when it comes to Nigeria, and it is what it is. And you said something while you were posing your question, and you were saying maybe they know it is working, that is why they are trying to gag the people. No, because they just do not care about the people. And as far as I'm concerned, that is what it is for me. Because remember, we were talking about having the policemen at the Lekki toll gates for close to 2 weeks right now. And on this same show, we have brought up stories about how people have been robbed, kidnapped consistently on the same Lekki Expressway in this same Lagos state, and I have not seen, please correct me if I'm wrong, I have not seen these men being deployed to those places to ensure that we are safe. So they have their priorities. They know what they want and how they want it. But to answer the question we are trying to answer today, for me, I know protest is effective, because even from the one from October, yes, we did not get everything we wanted, but at least SARS was finally truly disbanded.
Okay, so Norma mentioned something while she was talking on consistency, you know, which is where I want us to have a bit of touch point, where we talk about, you know that the level at which we have gotten to in this country, it requires some level of consistent or, persistence. You understand? For us to be able to even try to get close to the change that we're seeking. You know, do you see the style at which we protest in Nigeria? Do you see that consistency in the style at which you protest in Nigeria? Or we just do it as the spirit is hot, and we go? You know, there's that steady, that consistency is not there in terms of, persistence. Let me use the word persistence instead. And just staying on the matter.
We had persistence we in October. What happened? The persistence is what we are commemorating now. Right? Because at the end of the day, things happened on 20th October 2020. And that was out of persistence. But it's also difficult for a lot of people, because I see people tweet things, put out things on social media. I also see comments, I hear comments from people, and it just makes me feel like a lot of us are not even empathetic to each other. We don't understand what we are going through or what some people are going through. And of course, it takes us back to the fact that a lot of people have their personal agenda when it comes to protest and what they hope to get from it, right? But at the same time, I think Nigerians have been really consistent in saying that they do not like where they are at the moment. We have been consistent in saying that we want to be led better. We want innovative leadership. And you cannot have a lot of consistency with this government. I say this because this is an administration that has clearly flouted court orders. I mean, when it comes to democracy and protest and dialogues and what actually protects the citizens, and if you claim that this is a democratic government, it is the fact that I can go to court and have my day in court, challenge you, and the judge will tell you, no, this is right, this is not right, based on the laws that binds us all, and then we abide by it and live to fight another day. But if you're fighting people that would not even listen to the rule of law, then you understand that consistency is a far-fetched idea.
Okay. So, I like the idea of the car procession. Because at least with a car, there's nobody walking on the road. There's nobody, it's just we're going in a car. I remember when something similar happened in the
Somebody just said something to me. Said, everybody driving tomorrow, make sure the papers of your car
is complete.
So avoid stories that touch.
Yeah, I was going to touch on, before I come to the car matter, I was going to touch on the fact that this police that we're talking about for Lekki, I remember the night that we went out, that for some unfortunate reason, I decided to go through, because I've not gone through Freedom Way at night since 2019. For some unfortunate situation,
you
I decided to go through
route.
Freedom Way. Because Freedom Way was very notorious for a lot of guys, all those people,
Even,
robbery and all of that.
And attacks.
So I went through Freedom Way. In the short drive, I made like 5 checkpoints. So the police are there. It's just that the police are also working for something else at night. You understand? I'm just saying to you that, yes, we are saying that, we've not seen police at addressing issues on robbery. The police are there, but they are also doing their own night work. You know. But I was going to say that I like the idea of, that's been innovative. Because I remember when COVID struck, I remember one video we saw that was very emotional, where school teachers were actually in the cars. They couldn't go to, they couldn't see their pupils. So they decided to do a car procession around the house. And so as we were driving, it was a drive-through, and they were waving and all of that. So that for me is actually an effective and innovative way to go about the protest. You know, so what do you think? What's your take? Do you think that should also spark some level of agitation from the police when we're seeing them saying jettison any form of protest and all of that?
They weren't
Is that
supposed to be. What's the word you use now? They were not supposed to be agitated in the first place, because this is not even a protest in the sense of a protest. This is a commemoration to say we lost our brothers, we lost our sisters, we lost our family member, we lost somebody for the cause, right? We are not saying we are going back to the streets to say let's continue the NSAS movement where we stopped, and because it's October, it's just time to be on the streets. That's not the plan. What we're saying is lives were lost, and we just need to pay that respect. That's what it is. So I don't even understand where the agitation is coming from. Because clearly the Lekki Toll Gate LCC people, they're already working towards opening their business. And I'm not going to say don't open your business, because there is a loan or a debt that should be serviced. So if we're going to be practical about it, we still need to get back to it and start paying people wherever they got the money from to build the roads and do what they did, right? There is an agreement that needs to be upheld, and that is somebody's business. It's unfortunate that happened where it is, but you cannot say that we do not have the right to commemorate these people. It's just like saying, oh, my mom died, and then I feel like, 20 years later or even a year later, and I feel like I want to do something, and you're telling me no, I can't. That is what it is. This is not exactly. So
do you think it's them maybe denying the fact that, but inside this police statement, you already said they lost lives. So I don't know. There's a bit of confusion.
In that statement, it could be generic. He could claim that it is generic. That it's a general statement.
Yes, to say loss of lives,
to say loss of lives.
So not specific to the toll gate.
Specific to.
Okay, you know what? Let's take a break, because we'd like to open our phone lines and just hear your thoughts on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, if you just tuned in, it's our ladies' night out, and we're asking how effective are protests in Nigeria. Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Our phone line is also now open. Please, when you call us, turn off the volume of your television set. Turn it off so we can hear each other. The number to call is 070-25007749. That's 070-25007749. All right, so protest. everywhere in the world, people are allowed to express their agitations. I can't remember what country it was then, that the girl was a bit overwhelmed, or was he a guy? He now went out and set himself ablaze.
Yeah.
That sparked up so much emotion. Ideally, protest is supposed to whip some level of emotion,
and empathy.
like a touch, thank you, that empathetical part of your being, to say, is it this bad that my people are coming out to cry like this?
Mahatma
But
Gandhi.
why is it upside down in Nigeria?
Mahatma Gandhi, went through a hunger strike for the longest of time, just to be able to make their complaints known, that we want to be able to be known for who we are, Indians. We want to express ourselves as Indians. So there have been protests all over the world. People have done things and continue to do things to be able to showcase that there is a problem that needs being paid attention to, right?
You know what? Let me take Ladi from Lagos, our very first caller. Thank you for calling. Let's hear what you have to say. Ladi, are you there?
Yes, I am there. Yes, I am there.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. You're live. Let's hear what you have to say. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. So, protests are 100% effective in Nigeria. And historically, look at how people are protested on the independence. You find that there was a protest like women protesting and then driving results. You find that railway workers are protesting and they got results. And even it was protests or a series of protests and multiple protests that led to the British people even giving us independence as a sovereign nation, which is Nigeria. So now, post-independence, you find that you find people protesting for food price decrease, fuel price decrease, and many other agitations or many other cases that have actually been reversed as a result of protest. Now, I'm just citing these examples, I'm citing these incidences to drive home the point that protests are actually very valuable, very useful, and very effective in driving agitation, in ensuring that
Ladi,
keep causes.
Ladi, the question,
Hello, I can hear you.
The question is, I know protests are very effective. We're asking, in Nigeria, is it effective in Nigeria?
Yes,
Given the context.
Examples.
Yeah, no. Okay, so leave pre-colonial era. I'm talking about within the democracy that we've since we started our democracy. How effective have protests been in Nigeria?
Okay, so I'm even coming there because I'm driving historically. So now let me come post 1999. Now, post 1999 are cases where people have used protests to drive change or to reverse the decision that they consider the government is taking to be a mistake. Now, during the President Obasanjo's era, you find that NLC protesting oil price decrease, you find them protesting on multiple cases, you find them protesting on minimum wage decrease. And this protest led to success in the causes that they were actually protesting for. Now, more recently, while I was a student in university, I remember back in 2013, we protested against the government changing the name of the university to Moshid Abiola University.
True.
And it yielded results, Maula protest. Now, in 2010, a few years back before then, in 2010, Nigerians went to a just house to protest Occupy Nigeria.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that you agree with is that at that point in time, we forced the hand of the government to do what the people wanted. Those who were sponsoring the protest at the time wanted. Now, that's another subject. Now, just last year, about 1 year ago, we protested against police brutality. And guess what? The dreaded FACT unit was cancelled. So I would say, with a few examples that I've cited, I would say to you that protests are actually effective in forcing the hands of the government, in driving the message to the government, to the people in power, to the ruling class, that this thing needs to get done.
All right, thank you so much, Ladi. Thank you so much. Okay, I hear you loud and clear.
You just don't believe that protests are effective.
No, so so it's one thing for you to say yes, it will twist the hand of the government to do some certain things, but has it affected the change?
It has, actually.
You understand
so
that we
the
truly
change
are
we
trying to drive?
It's never going to be a snap of the
It's
finger
not
and then this
Magic wand,
Nigeria becomes the center of New York. It's not going to happen. It's going to be step by step and step. And I mean, he's done a good job in giving us a history of different protests that have gotten.
Well, that Occupy Nigeria wasn't for me, no.
That's what you think, but the subsidy thing, was it removed that be added back? I know something happened because there was a negotiation, right? So at the same time, when you're going in for a protest, for you to get a level of success, it's not always about it has to be my way or no way, right? It has to be negotiations, it has to be dialogue. Then the government and whoever is negotiating for the people would then let them know that this is why we are making this decision and this is where the economy is at the moment. This and this are what we are doing to get us out of this problem. Based on all this is where we can compromise at the moment so that we can ease the stress that is on the people and of course maybe do better next time. But one of the problems I probably want to point out that we had with NSAS is that we did not have dialogue.
Okay, so
right?
hold that thought. Hold that thought. Let me take Loma the Prophet, I think. Prophet from Abia State. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you, my beautiful leader in the house.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this is a lot of the problem from woman.
Thank you.
See, based on the question that people have just asked, we have been having good results from protest. Just let us think a little bit of what happened in South Women Rights. After that, they achieved good results.
Yeah.
Let us go back to the Nigerian group protest. They achieved good results when President Jonathan wanted to release a full fight. Now, we will have full NLC. Remember this word, full NLC in Nigeria. Their protest was producing good results. Not now when we are having people in the NLC that think about their protest. That is when we don't have good results. But you know the protest has producing results. Now, if not from the NLC, you wouldn't have seen the banding them. So the protest has been producing results. But the only thing what is the unity of purpose. Let every one of us that is protest with one point. But whatever that says, members will not vote for these people that die. I'm telling you, those people are giving. They are not telling us the truth. The politicians should allow people to remember the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Loma the Prophet. Yeah, you.
Just even them to pick up from where I stopped.
No, you were saying that we did not dialogue because that's a very strong flaw.
Yes, it is, because globally, I mean, protests, we're used to having, and this is globally, we're used to having a leader or a group of leaders so that they can dialogue with the government and be that voice between the people and the government. But at the same time, I absolutely understand why the youths in 2020 said they did not want a leader. And it points us back to what you rightfully said, which is compromise. Because we did not want a situation whereby we've been on the streets for 7 days, 14 days, and all that, and then somebody just goes in and someone can be given Ghana must go of
which is not difficult for them to do.
And then the story is swept under the carpet. So I definitely do understand why we were very adamant in having a leader and a dialogue. However, it still is important. And one thing I've noticed, it's still very difficult, even for me as a person, now for us all generally, to be able to hold one person and say, this is the person we're going to put our faith in, even for the coming election, to say, this is the person that is going to represent us as a people, or this is the person that is going to listen, get in there, see what the rot is, because there has been damage. There is still damage going on and a lot needs to be fixed. We need someone who would understand it, and it's someone who, of course, would listen to the pulse of the people, get the right people in his cabinet and get the job done, right? But even till now or even till tomorrow, I can tell you categorically that we cannot mention one name, and just like what Lawman said, our last caller, we cannot mention one name now and everybody will in unison say, yes, I think this person is
You know what he said about, so, there's something very profound he said when he was talking about leadership, that there was a time in this same Nigeria that protests would happen and leaders would listen. So is it possible that the effectiveness of a protest is also tied to the quality
of the
leaders that
in general?
Thank you, the quality of leadership that we have? Because if we have leaders that understand, leaders that are empathetic, we talked about emotional intelligence yesterday. If we talk about all those qualities and we tie it into a leader, right? A leader would never see protests as you're coming to bring down my government.
You're coming to question me.
You understand? Instead, he would see a protest like, why is my child crying? I need to listen.
What have
I done wrong to this child?
You're basically going back to what I have said. This administration is not interested in your protest and why you're protesting, or the fact that you're talking. It's even offensive for them to see that a young person has the audacity to open their mouth to question whatever it is they are doing. I've listened to some speech and some words that come out from their mouth, and it gives me the vibes that says that, you know what, we are doing you a favor to lead you people. You people are lazy. You people cannot amount to anything. So whatever we do, shut up and listen. That is the communication I get from them. That is what I get from their body language. So yes, you're right to say that the administration or the people in leadership would also determine how successful your protest would be, because they will understand the reason behind your protest, or they will attempt to understand it. And then, of course, you get to the point where you are now beginning to ask questions like, what are we doing wrong? How do we solve this problem? And of course, listen to the rule of law. But if you don't have that, please, how exactly am I, as Elsie Godwin, supposed to exercise my civic rights?
Let me hear your thoughts, Norma.
I agree with you, Elsie, because leadership is supposed to be about being able to listen to the concerns of the people. And protests are actually a call for us to find our humanity, for us to know that there's a problem that needs to be solved. So if we're leaders who listen to the pulse of the people, like you said, then you would know that there's a problem that needs a resolution one way or the other. And definitely that's where dialogue comes in, where you want to find out, okay, can we meet a compromise? Can we get to a compromise where we can have a win-win situation? But when the leaders make statements, or statements like this go out, it informs the people that you do not care about what their concerns are about, and you really did not intend to lead them.
And what they have successfully created is an us against them situation. And that's not what's supposed to be.
Let me take Sulaiman from Bauchi State, I believe. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Hi, Sulaiman.
Yes, my name is Sulaiman from Bauchi. So I just make one correction. The government, the federal government, gave 5 points that people are. And what was that is when the press decided that movies were being killed, houses were being burned, what do you expect the government to do? With the government, with later protest and entire any protest to take us now, after investing billions naira in developing the transport in Lagos, and some people went and bought those properties. The weather of the government was almost attacked.
Sulaiman. Sulaiman.
So even if to submit that, they will never allow this.
Sulaiman, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Would there have been a better way for the government to have handled the violence that erupted afterwards, the protests? And again, do you really believe in your heart of heart it was the people that protested that were involved in that violence?
No, you see, the problem is that, okay, what does your post start? Okay, you block roads. They block electricity. People are not able to leave their houses. People are not able to come back from work. So why don't you go outside and give your protest? Nobody's stopping from protesting. The government has never stopped anybody from protesting.
But what the government is doing right now, Suleiman, asking people not to come out to do the 1 year commemoration, is stopping them from protesting. And they've been you. I mean, you are in Bauchi State. You're not in Lagos. The toll gate I passed. No, calm down. We are talking about current situations now. The toll gate I pass there every single day, and from 2 weeks ago, that was when they started moving with the security trucks, the RRS, and all of that, positioning at the toll gate as though the protests that happened were, I mean, the people that came out to protest were violent people. So the question I ask again, do you believe that the violence that happened erupted from the protesters, or it was someone else or some other group of people?
No, something happened in Lagos.
So why are we not focused on? Why are we not focused on?
The protest started peacefully, but it was hijacked.
Yes, so it was hijacked. So why are we not focused on looking? Why are we not focused, Suleiman? Suleiman, can you listen to me? Why are we not focused on looking for the hijackers? Why are we focused on gagging the people that are peaceful protesters? Thank you, Suleiman. Thank you, Suleiman.
So it's interesting that Suleiman would just decide to pick the protest or the things that happened in October 2020 from what happened after 2010, 2020. I mean, we're not burning houses. We're not destroying properties. The destruction of properties happened after the alleged shooting or the shooting, right? That was when it happened. So, like you rightly said, we cannot leave what the peaceful protesters are talking about and then start talking about an event that happened when the people that are supposed to lead us decided to respond in a way they shouldn't have.
Even the anger I have is they were hoodlums that hijacked the protest. We saw videos of people that they were loaded in BRT buses going to Alausa with cutlasses and weapons to disrupt a protest. It happened in Alausa. The same people came out to vandalize stores. These were the same people that vandalized the stores during the the xenophobic outcry in South Africa, when it happened in South Africa, when they started vandalizing stores. So why is the police not focused on looking for those hoodlums and apprehending them? Why are you focused on gagging innocent people that are protesting?
I mean, it's the job of the police as well to protect protesters.
Yes.
That is your only job when they're protesting.
You know what, let me take our last call for the evening. Peter, thank you so much.
Yeah, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for calling, Peter.
Yeah, thank you. It will be difficult for us to have effective protests in Nigeria currently now.
That's it.
One, because we don't have strong institutions.
Thank you.
If we had a strong institution in this country, whereby the Attorney General is not under the appendages of the government of the day, the protesters would just go to court and seek an injunction that they want to protest and they'll grant it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But over the years, some riot of 1989 was effective. It forced the hand of Babangida. The riot of 1993 after the June 12 made Obasanjo joined it in 1999. Then the SARS riot of last year, it was effective to the extent that SARS has been disbanded.
Yes.
But for us to have an all-inclusive protest in this Nigeria might be difficult because we are divided along ethnic lines and religious lines. And the leaders and the people in this country, they are working on that. Recently, the young students of the University of Benin, they were able to force the management of the University of Benin to take out 20,000 that was in place for late registration. They were very coordinated. Under 14 hours, they got the VC and it was stopped. But we must also know that for protests to be effective, any protest that has gone beyond 2 weeks, it begins to lose its momentum. So, for any protest that we want to do now in Nigeria, it must be decisive, it must be short-term, and it must be focused. We'll get there, and we'll get there.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Thank you very much.
That's a
you,
fantastic way to end the phone in. You know, well, I mean, that's the conversation. It's actually going to be difficult for protests to be effective where we are today, and that's the truth. I mean, you talked about rule of law.
Yeah.
You talked about and I mean, Peter has really capped it well. We don't have the strong institutions.
Absolutely.
You understand? No, we don't. You know, we even had unity during the NSAS protest.
No, as of now,
no, we still have it amongst the youth. If we want to come together for a cause, we'll come together for a cause, right? Because the NSAS thing affected a lot of people. Now, yes, NSAS, the SARS has been disbanded, but I still see uniformed men or in black like they used to be with the SARS thing on this Lekki Ekpe, see harassing people. I mean, I have videos. Every night I'm driving, you will see one Mercedes-Benz being parked or the other and all of that. Yes, they might have disbanded them, but we still see police operating. You understand? In the same style that SARS used to operate, still operating on the Lekki Ekpe.
But if we're going to be honest, there has been a reduction in
it has reduced, but it does not mean that it's completely eradicated.
Well,
but let's hear your final thoughts, ladies.
My final thought is in commemorating 2010-2020 this year, please let's be safe out there. I like the innovative plan in terms of doing this a car procession and just being in a sort of safe environment, and I hope that this innovative idea can sort of help the personnel on the road to step back a bit and just allow this walk through, like drive through as it's going to be. It's between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. And so this is not supposed to disrupt anything or destroy any property, but please be safe out there. Please be safe out there.
Okay, so Norma, quickly in 1 second.
Well, I just agree with Elsie. Just be safe. It's a time for you to be on the alert and to be strategic with anything you're doing.
I think for me it's a time to reflect, right? Beyond the protest, let us reflect, sit down and think of innovative ways to change and move the country forward. Thank you again, ladies. Thank you, Norma Ifang, and thank you, Elsie Godwin. Now, before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, we're planning a giveaway to say thank you to you for believing in the Waze brand. So do well to follow us now. It's at PlusTvAfrica. Tomorrow is going to be an interesting conversation because we want to review 1 year after what truly has changed with the protest and all of that, and where we made errors. I mean, Elsie touched on it for a bit. We're going to expatiate on that because that is actually the 1 year anniversary. All right, so if you missed today's quote, here it is again. Democracy is about the dialogue. Protest is about initiating the dialogue, and freedom of speech is about respecting each other's dialogue. This is from Ankit Mishra. Now, we'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.